Welcome back to this channel. If you haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe. Today in this tutorial we are going to be learning how to make this responsive login page, and I'm going to be showing you step by step how you are going to do it. And without further ado, let's get started. Before we move on, let's see how responsive it is, because most of the people will think that maybe it's not responsive. As you can see, this is how it's going to be to look on your mobile phone. Very responsive, and everything is set. So we are definitely going to be creating something like this, and let's get started. The first thing we are going to do is to let me move to my own desktop and create a new folder. We just create a new folder, and I can just name it login page. So after creating this folder, I can just open this folder up in my VS Code, and it's already opening. Okay, and we can just proceed by what creating. I can close up this, I don't need it. I can just proceed by creating an index.html file, and hit index.html file and click on enter, and then we create a CSS file also, which we can name our styles.css, and hit on enter. So we have created both files we needed. So I go back to this HTML file and press shift and 1, so it will bring me this exclamation mark. I will now hit enter, so it will bring me this normal template. In this my title, I can just change this title to a login page, because we are definitely creating a login page, but you can give it any title you want. So now, apart from this, what we are going to need also is let me say we are going to link it to our CSS. We need to link it to our CSS, which I can just do like this and link it perfectly. So here we go. So the first thing we need to do here is to create our container, which is a div. I can just give it like this, a div of container, a container. So we are basically creating this container, and then inside this container we can just have a small box. You can just have a small box. My god, this is a very big mistake. So inside this container we can just have a small box which will contains all the form, and inside this box now I'm going to have my own this where we are going to add this decoration you are seeing here. This decoration you are seeing here, this way we are going to add it. And to add that, you just need to go to this website, which is getwaves.io, and make sure to select your wave. You can see this is the wave it's going to provide if you copy this, but we are going to at least move forward to get something more complex, and then can just get something more complex. Alright, so you can see how you can move around to generate a very complex code. And if you want to just copy what you have generated, you can just hit on this icon and it will get you an SVG to copy and use. So I already have my own generated here, so I can just copy it here. And if you want to get this exact one I'm using, because maybe if you generate your own it may not look exactly like my own, so there's no problem. I'm going to drop the GitHub to this project, the GitHub link to this project in the comment section, so you can just use it and clone it in your own computer. So now as I now paste it inside my box, and let's see what we have already added. Let me copy this part and then go to a browser and see what we are already having. So as you can see, we have already have our shape already, and this, but the most funny part about this shape is it is very responsive, and you see now it will look great on also on mobile. But one thing you will need to notice is this space. There's a space at this side by side and also at the top, which is not supposed to be. As from this one, there's no any space, so we can just remove that in our CSS. So I just need to go to the CSS and select everything. If we are using this hash, it means select everything, and we can just remove the margin, which is the default margin. We set it to 0, and then padding, which is also the default padding, we set it to 0, and box sizing, which should be border box. And with this, I think everything will look fine, and it is gone. So now the next thing to do is for us to add our form, which is going to be enclosed inside a form container. So to add our form now, I can just do this. I can just come here and add a form dot form container dot form container. This form container is the one that is going to contain our form, and I can just inside this form container I can add a form tag, which is normal. When you are creating any form, contact form, sign up form, make sure you enclose every input inside a form. And then the next thing I will add is the heading 1. I can just add the heading 1, which says login, and then I can have a paragraph tag which says welcome. So since it's a login page, we can just use welcome back, and then let me put an exclamation mark to make it more interesting. So let's see what we have already have. I can refresh, and you can see here that we are having everything set perfect. So the next thing we are going to add is we are going to definitely add our input field, which is going to be enclosed inside an input container. So to do that, we are going to definitely go under here and put input container. Oh, it's a div, so I can just hit like this, input container, and then inside this input container we definitely want to have two things. So now here we are going to have this icon, this little icon here. We are going to add this little icon here, and then have our inputs together with it. So we definitely want to use font aware sum to generate this icon. So to do that, I just need to type in font aware sum in HTML. So we are going to just search it like this and find W3 School website, and then we hit on it because it will take us to font aware. We want to just copy this link because and I don't want to be stressing myself to look for it. I know where to get it easily, so just highlight and copy. Then I'm going to just go to the top here and comment that. You just need to comment your code because for it to make it easy for people to read. So now under here I can just paste the link I copied, and let me check if it is working. Inside this input container I can just say I can create a I tag and then give it a class. So to add font aware sum, this is what we do, a class of far user, and I can just save it and see whether we are going to have anything appear on our. We can close up this for now, we don't need it. We just go back to here, and you can see perfect, our user appear at this little angle. So now the next thing to do is to just under here put an input tag, which will be our input for email, and then instead of we now using text as our type, we can use email, and then a placeholder of email also, email. Save and see what we already have inside our browser, and you can see our input field appear perfectly. So the next thing to do is to add our another input field, which is for password, and I can just copy this and paste it one more time because it's nearly exactly the same thing. I can just paste it one more time, and now just refactor it. Here is going to be what do we call the password? Lock. I think it is lock, far lock for password, and then this type is going to be password now, because you know the difference between input of password, it won't be visible, and then our placeholder also will be password. So I think by now everything should be looking perfect. Now we are having our input of email and input of password. The next thing we are going to add is to add our button. We can just add our button, which we say login perfectly. So under this input field we can just add a button. This button will just give an information to login. Let me use all in caps, login, and then under this login button I can just have two paragraph tag which says don't have an account, so it should just be asking the user don't have an account, and then if the person doesn't have an account, we can just say the person should register, which will be inside like a link, and then we just copy this paragraph again, then and paste it one more time. This will say forgot password. If it will ask the user if the user forgot password, then we ask the person to recover the password. If the person forgot, recover. So I can just save up and see what I have inside my browser. So I think I'm having everything looking good in the HTML part, and now I think it is the high time we move to the CSS. Let me just edit this because it's looking ugly. Yeah, but it doesn't matter, editing or not, it doesn't matter. So now, as we are already having our own input field finished, we already have our complete HTML. The next thing to do is to add our CSS styling to it. So to add our CSS styling, what we are going to do is to come here, and the body background color, you just need to change the body background color. You know, we are exactly confirmed we are already white now, full white, but I don't want white, but you can leave it like that if you want it. I can just say background color should be F1, F5, F8. So it's more little bit milky than the pure white, and that's just it. Then after adding the background color, we should just come and add to style our form container. So to style our form container now, I can just select the form container. Where is it? Let me copy the class. So I'm not going to like mess up everything. Maybe I'm will be styling and it won't work. So this is the form container, the one that contains the form. I can just come here and give it a style and give it a width of 30%. Give it a width of 30%. Then a margin of 0 and auto. This margin of 0 and auto is going to center it. Margin of 0 and auto is going to center it, and let's see whether it's actually center it. And as you can see now, everything now moved to the center. Now the next thing to do is to center all the text inside it. To text align, it should also be center. Then after centering everything inside here, so let me see whether everything will center. I don't know, maybe I haven't saved it, but it's supposed to, every text inside is supposed to be at the center. Yes, exactly. All our text now are now center. So now the next thing to do is to style the input container. And you know, this input container are the one that contains our input. So I can just copy this. I can copy the input container and give it a little bit of styling, like width of 100%, width of 100%. Where's my percentage? Height of 40 pixels. Let me give it a height of 40 pixels. A height of 40 pixels. A border radius of also 10 pixels. Let me see. A border radius of 10 pixels. A border of white border. Let me see. Let me give it a border. Now the border will be 2 pixels. Solid white. Alright, let's see what's going to happen now. And I think this is looking good. You can see we are styling this input field. Then what next we are going to add is to give it a no. I can just give it a display of flex to at least display of flex. Now let me justify content. You all know what all this, if you don't know what all this means, you definitely need to go and do your basic CSS again, space between. So now let's see what is going to happen inside here, and you can see now it is everything is looking good. So let me just align items to be center, and then give it a margin. So margin top and bottom will be 10 pixels, and 0 pixels left and right. So let's see what we are already having now, and I think everything is looking okay. So the next thing we are going to style is our inputs. So now we have our inputs. We can style all our inputs now. We give it a width of 95%, width of 95%, width of 95%. So after giving it a width of 95%, I can just give it a height of 100%. So it's going to cover everything, a height of 100%. So let's see what we have. Let's see what we are having now, and you can see the thing is looking good. The next thing we are going to do is to remove the border and then give it a padding. So let me see whether how we are going to do it. This is the border. You see the border here, which is this black thing, this black one inside this container. So we just give it none, and then give it an outline also to be none. You can just give it an outline to be none, and then give it a padding of 10 pixels. Now we are giving it a padding of 10 pixels, and it's already looking good. And one thing we need to add more is this styling to this eye, which is the our icon. But before that, let's style our placeholder. So which is input. Now to style placeholder, you just need to put input double dot and then placeholder. So as you can see here, then we are going to give it a font width of bold, because we will just want it to be bold. Font width of bold. We just need to add a color of black and font size of 20 pixels. Color should be black 000, and font size should be 20 pixels. Font size should be 20 pixels. So I save, and let's see what we are already having, and I think this is okay. So the next thing is for us to style our eye, which is we can do that easily here. This eye are the icons you see now, are the one that have the icons. Every icons have this eye, so we can just style the eye to make it more interesting. We can give it a color of white. The initial color is black, so we can give it a color of white, and then a font size of 20 pixels also. Font size of 20 pixels. So let me give more space from here, and then let's give it a background color of ash. Let me give 000099 FF. So it will look something like our clip art at the top. So let's refresh, and you can see the background a little bit. So we just need to give it a padding and see how it will look. So we can just give it a padding of 10 pixels. Let's save and see how it will look. And this does it. It looks perfect, exactly the way we wanted it. So the next thing we are going to style is our button. Now we can just give our button a width of 100%. I haven't given this button any class, so let me just give it a class of BTN. I normally give my buttons a class of BTN, and I don't know why, but it's something people commonly use. So let me just select my BTN now and give it a width of 100%. Then we give it a height of 40 pixels. Height of 40 pixels. Let's see what we have already here, and you see it is looking good. Let's give it a border radius of 10 pixels. I don't know why my keyboard is pressing 0. Okay, let's give it a border radius of 10 pixels. Border radius of 10 pixels. Also what, let's give it a background color as the one we give this eye. So I can just copy and give it this, and then I can remove the border, the initial border, which is none, and just set it to none. Give it an outline of none. Control Z. I want none, not nation. And let's see what we are already having, and you can see now we are having something good. So the next thing we are going to do is to add a cursor of pointer to it. My cursor should be pointer, pointer. Then let me increase the font size. Font size should be 20 pixels. Font weight should be bold. And I think everything is looking good. So now to the next thing we are going to add is to add some on hover to this button. So we can just add some on hover, just a little bit more to make it more lively. So when someone hover on the button, so the person should at least know that he's hovering on something. So you can just give it on hover, and then copy this background color, and we can just copy this background and paste it here, allow it, then we can just make it more lighter or more darker. So let's give it more darker. So you can see the button is changing, but it's now changing fast, so you can give it a transition, then we can just add 0.3 second is to it, so it will take some time before when we highlight it, before everything will change. So now we can just add a margin button to this BTN, so to give it more space. Margin button, which should be let's say 20 pixels, and let's save and see what we are having. Margin button, not top. I was wondering what's happening. So let's save and see what's happened. Exactly, this is what we want to see now. And then the next thing we are going to do is to check the responsiveness. If it is responsive, it will not be responsive by now. And you can see what we are having, but we just need to add a very little bit of media query to it to make everything look perfect. So now to add our media query, I just need to come to the bottom of the page and add our media query. If you haven't covered media query yet, I'm going to do a tutorial on media query very soon, and it's going to be a complete media query. And if you are interested in learning media query, just comment in the comment section. Add a comment that, yeah, interested to learn media query and like the video. So media screen and maximum width. So to add a media query is all the syntax you need to add. Maximum width. Majority of people get confused between maximum width and maximum height when maximum width and minimum width when adding media query. But don't worry, if you watch my media query tutorial later on, you are going to enjoy it. So I'm going to explain all these things. So now we add at media screen and maximum width of 900 pixels. So we made from 900 pixels below, it should change its style. Which style do you want to change now? This style, the form container, is where we are going to change, because it's one that contains the form. And as you can see here, it is the form that's very small now. The form container is very small. We give it a 30% width, so that's why it's squeezed. So we can just copy the form container here. The whole we can copy the whole, don't worry. And then go back to our media query and paste what we copied inside here, and give it a width of 100% now. We can give it a width of 100%. So let's check what we are having. And we are having it perfectly. It's worked, but you can see now it's a little bit like entering the wall of the screen. So we just need to give it a very small padding. So we can just add a padding of 10 pixels to it to make it look more beautiful. And that's all. You can see now the screen is very responsive. You have a very responsive what we call it, a login form. And if you like this tutorial, don't forget to subscribe, share it to some of your friends who will be interested. See you in the next one. Bye bye.